What's everyone? Happy Friday! Today we got Brian Kato, and we're talking about agency automation. This is gonna be a good one, guys. I've got the bullets, and it's gonna be freaking awesome. Oh yeah, what's up? You guys don't have a copy yet of the SEO in 2025 book? I have a few more left. Shoot me your address at dre@seo.video, dre@seo.video if you are in the United States. If you're just tuning in, we got Brian Kato coming in today, and we're talking about agency automation. My man JP, hey, hey, hey. Stefan, my man, happy Friday. Looking forward to our episode, Stefan. Happy Friday. Just got building my LLMS.text generator. I'll have it public here soon. Love it, love it. JP, maybe we should come back on and talk about it and see why we should be having that. And all the other goodies that you have in your back pocket. You can drop some knowledge bombs on us. JP says for sure. Oh yeah. Many, we'll just call it Knowledge Bomb Friday. You just drop them. Maddox, hey everyone. What's up, Maddox, my man? If you're just tuning in, we have Brian Kato coming in, and we'll be talking about agency automation. We have a few bullets here he sent over, and man, a lot of new things that I'll be learning myself. And looking forward to automating some parts of my own consultancy. Actually build an agency at least. Get it automated some way. Because I'm burning myself out. All right, so let's see. Guys, if you want a copy of the SEO 2025 book, don't forget to shoot me an email at dre@seo.video, dre@seo.video. If you want to learn more about local SEO, go check out GBP Rose Show every Wednesday at 12 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. It's on YouTube. You can click the link in the live chat. You'll be auto-subscribed. youtube.com/@GBPRoast. Hope to see you there on Wednesdays at 12 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. If you're just tuning in, we have Brian Kato coming in, and we'll be talking about agency automation. Ernesto, my man, yo, yo, yo. Luther, hi. Millennial Money Mom, hello! I finally caught the live. This is gonna be a good one. This is gonna be a good one. All of them are good though. If you're just coming in, we are talking to Brian Kato today, Agency Automation Masterclass. And if you missed out, he was a special guest on the GBP Rose Show this past Wednesday, and we were talking about negative SEO for local. Well, we're just looking for negative SEO attacks that you should look for local SEO, not how to do it though. We got about 4 more minutes to go. Let's see. I'll ping Brian in a couple minutes just to make sure. I will not be going over any videos this week. Just too busy to find them, but plus I want to save a lot of time for what we want to cover today with Brian, because the bullet points he sent me over, man, you're gonna love it. Jeremy, what up, Dre? Got some shiner flowing on this Friday. Love it. Love it. Looking forward to today's episode. We will be talking about agency automation as I want to build my own agency. I'm a consultant right now, but I do want to grow and help with the use of agents and some employees. James Barrett, what's up, my man? Eric, hey, I got my first lead from my rank and rent this afternoon. Super pumped. There you go. Love it. Got about 2.5 more minutes to go. If you're just tuning in, we have Brian Kato coming in on agency automation. We'll be talking about how you create different types of automations. Sent me a few bullets, and like I said, it's some new stuff that I haven't heard of or want to learn about myself. I'm looking forward to it. Ooh, we have Brian coming in, fixing his camera. Let's see. It's Brian, my man, can you hear me?
I can hear you loud and clear, man.
Oh, yeah. There you go. Love it, guys. Brian's in the back. If you're just tuning in, we will be talking about agency automation today. Welcome, Brian.
Hey.
We have a bunch of people in the live chat already.
All right.
Got about a minute and a half or a minute and 40 more seconds to go. So go ahead and get your shouts out and get your questions ready. I will address them in the order that they are received. And please keep it on topic. And we will be talking about agency automation today. So it's going to be a great topic today. And again, we will not be going over any 1-minute videos because I wanted to save enough room for Brian. And plus, I was just too busy to cut them up. Victor, great topic today. Looking forward to it. Yes. All right, we got 1 more minute to go. I'm going to go, and Brian, I'm going to go ahead and put you on mute real quick, and I'm going to introduce you in like just a couple minutes after. All right? All right. Kenneth, my man. Brian and Kobe. Oh, everyone's coming in right now.
Yeah. Hey, time to get it started. No delay. Let's work. Want to see you be an SEO expert. Paul Andre de Vera. Steady dropping knowledge. Over 15 years in the game, so he knows all about it. Master the art of SEO. You will be amazed. Time to get your brand off page to on page. Dropping knowledge. Legendary for sure. Whether you're just getting started or self-employed entrepreneur. Yeah, let's go. Subscribe to the SEO video show.
Hey, welcome to another episode of the SEO video show where SEO is alive and fun. My name is Paul Andre de Vera, aka Dre, and I curate SEO videos released within the past week. It's about 1-minute clips. My favorite part of the show is when I get to introduce my guests, and today we have Brian Kato of Fusion Vine. Before we get started, let's say what's up to everyone in chat. I see Kobe, Natalie, Latanya, Kenneth, Victor, Jeremy, James, Eric, Fletcher, Millennial Money Mom, Luther, Ernesto, Maddox, JP, welcome everyone, and Stefan. Welcome everyone. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell, and now let's get on with the show.
Hey Dre, why do SEOs love the farmers market? Lots of organic content.
All right, the March core update was completed yesterday. How are your rankings? Things to do after an update. Always confirm that your core update has finished. The core update has finished rolling out, which was yesterday. Check out the search status dashboard on the note of when to start and the end dates of the core update. I mean, you can compare and be sure to compare the correct dates. Google recommends waiting at least 1 full week after the core update completes before analyzing your site in Search Console. After a week, try comparing this week with a week before the core update started rolling out, and that was about, I believe, on March 13. This way you can better pinpoint what exactly has changed. Review the top pages and queries, assess the rankings before and after the core update is the drop was small or large. They consider small drops, like dropping from position 2 to 4. There's really no need to make any updates is what they're recommending, but a large drop from like position 4 to 29 is when you need to do like a deeper assessment. So analyze different search types separately, like so you can help you understand whether the drop has happened whether in web search, Google Images, video, and all that good stuff. All right. So that is for it for my announcements for today from Google, and we're gonna go straight into the interview. I'm not gonna do any 1-minute clips today. So before we get started, here is a word from our sponsor. Did you know a press release alone isn't enough? Visibility is key. You need a multi-platform strategy to share your story across news, audio, video, and social media. Welcome to Magic PR, where your press release transforms into a powerful media experience, maximizing exposure and engagement. We distribute your release to top outlets like Yahoo Finance, Bloomberg, Business Insider, and more. Plus, your release is SEO optimized, ensuring better search rankings. But we don't stop there. We turn your press release into a podcast, distributing it across 25 platforms like Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and SoundCloud. Then, we create a social media content for Facebook, X, and Instagram, and even transform your story into a video press release for YouTube and top media sites. Video drives over 80% of higher engagement, and short-form content is king. We make viral videos for your YouTube Shorts, Instagram Reels, and more. At Magic PR, we don't just publish, we amplify. Get your press release seen, heard, and shared everywhere. Visit magicpr.com today and take your brand to the next level. Now let's introduce our guest.
Brian is the founder of Fusion Brian, a leading local SEO agency known for using data-driven strategies to supercharge business growth. With over a decade in digital marketing experience, he specializes in scaling agencies through automation and operational efficiency. He has established himself as a thought leader and expert in strategy development, and he's also the co-founder of Red Hat SEO and a highly sought-after speaker nationwide. Please welcome Brian Kato.
Brian, my man, my
What's
brother.
up, Dre?
How you doing?
How you doing,
Welcome
man?
back. Welcome back. Like someone just called out. It's twice in a week that we get to hang out, and so looking forward to it.
I know, it's awesome, right?
Love it. Everyone, just give a round of applause. All right. Okay, this is the question I always ask all my SEO professionals come on here in 1 minute or less. How does Brian get ranking on page 1 of Google?
All right. Brand signals, treat it like a legit business, solid on page, fantastic off page, do all the right things that you need to be doing, and do all the things.
Love it. Okay, let me rewind this real quick. Hold on. Take us way back, over a decade ago. When did you first how did you first get into SEO?
Yeah, so initially, I was building websites. I was doing some development work, stuff like that. Got into rep management, doing a lot of like ORM, like protecting people's, positive reputation, stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Got into marketing, was a PM for a company, and then, got into doing SEO, paid advertising, all of that. Broke off, started my own agency.
Love it. Okay, so why SEO? I mean, you said you were doing all these other things. I mean, why specialize in SEO? What was so good about it? What got you interested?
So let's be honest, project management probably isn't super sexy. It's a lot of just making sure things get done.
Mm-hmm.
But with SEO, what I really enjoy about that is so when I was going to school, I found out that I was actually halfway decent at database design. So in seeing that, pairing that with development and actually getting sites to move, not just building a site, but actually getting it to rank, produce money, things like that. Those are the kinds of things that really kind of interested me. And then through the course of everything, SEO, it's, for as much as we want to say that it's changed, it really is kind of foundational work.
Yep.
You get that right, and then it's just sprinkling in your flavor. We want this one to be a little chocolate over here. We want this one to have a little bit more, zing to it, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
You can add your own little flavor onto it. And I think that to me is what I really like about SEO, is that it's that personal flavor and being able to actually, help local businesses.
Love it, love it. Okay, so when it comes to like project management, is when in an enterprise setting, SEOs almost become like a project manager because they actually have to kind of like really carry out the tasks with different organizations within the company.
100%. And it's kind of like wrangling cats, right? It's making sure that these guys are doing this properly, this is executed properly, that this is, we have all of these, the brand signals, we've got solid, content being pushed out. How's that content being promoted? Are we advertising it? Are we monetizing it? What are we doing? So
love it. Okay, so how'd you actually learn it then? I mean, you said that you had some background in database design. I mean, like, how'd you actually learn SEO and like anyone that you've actually followed, resources?
I'll stand by it. Your network is your net worth, right? Mm-hmm. And getting, a lot of people kind of downplay, going to conferences, meeting people. Okay. I've always been a fan of, the more people you can meet, the more people you can network with. A lot of what I'd learned, it straight up, it's testing, getting to know people, learning from others, always having that kind of constantly learning attitude towards things. And, ultimately at the end of the day, again, testing. That's probably one of the best ways that I've found. Don't be afraid to break something. Don't be afraid to try and fix it either. So
love it. All right. Okay, let's get on to the topic of today, which everyone in the chat was actually talking about and like very, very excited about to learn more about today. And we will be talking about agency automation. All right. So and there's a few things like there's something that you've pinged to me. It's like a rule of 3 for automation. What is a rule of 3 in automation?
So typically, if you're doing the same exact process over and over and over, at least 3 times, right? So for example, keyword research or for a particular industry or fill in the blank, right? Sending out emails to someone. Once we hit that third time in a row, a third time of that exact same process, for me, what we look at is we want to automate it, or figure out a way to partially automate and then add, if necessary, add that final human touch, just QC it, send it out if necessary. But really it's if we do something 3 times in a row or 3 times consistently, that just, there's no sense in having a human do that. That can be automated.
Got it. I mean, like, how'd you discover like the importance of this? Like, how'd you know the magic number is 3? It's like, hey, you know what? Let's.
I was spending a lot of time. Really, it's kind of an arbitrary number, but what I found is that a lot of times, if I was doing something over and over and over, right? For example, putting together a contract, right? Okay. I can quickly go through and just be like, boom, boom, boom. This is kind of what our standard contract is. This may be nuanced with, again, that little bit of flavor behind it. Like this one, this is the little nuance over here. But by and large, everything is going to be pretty templatized. And that's going to cut down on time, error, because again, if we can automate it and eliminate any of that human error, it's going to be more consistent across the board. And so what I'm trying to do with a lot of that is if we see that someone's doing something multiple times in a row, I want to eliminate that unnecessary work. If we can get it to any point where it's just push a button and it does X, Y, and Z or whatever the task is, we want to automate that just as efficiently as possible. It frees up human capital. It, from an agency standpoint, it reduces human error. There's a lot of benefits to that.
So when it comes to like, let's say within your own agency, like what's maybe one thing, I mean, you mentioned like keyword research. Like, can you kind of walk us through like how that was going on when you first set that up within your agency? Like,
yeah. So for me, I love sheets, right? Okay. Surprise, everyone. I like sheets. But one of the things that we'll do there is we've integrated in one of my sheets. We have Claude, ChatGPT, Perplexity, and Gemini. Rolled into one particular sheet. And essentially what it does is you throw in a keyword, it does the keyword research, topicality, gives me kind of content ideas. We have APIs hooked into stuff. So then we can basically take that singular sheet, have it analyzed, and it clusters the keywords, creates the site architecture, organizes everything. So that's kind of a 2-part system. And what we've done is we've kind of joined that through a make automation. You can use any kind of RPA, whether it's Make, Zapier, IFTTT, a lot of other things that that you can kind of pull in other APIs with.
Mm-hmm.
But we've automated a lot of that. So all you have to do is, well, what's the client do? You look at, you should be doing that during your intake.
Yeah, exactly.
Who they are, what they do, and where they do it, right? Like, I want to understand your business. We take that and basically funnel that through some very basic scripting, and it spits out like what would normally take us, hours to do, we can get done in 10 minutes.
Oh, love that. And is that the freak in the sheets that JP is referring to?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, because I love that. I actually have access to that. I need to apply that to my own process.
Get in on it, man.
I need to apply it to my own process. And for those that don't have access to this, how can they get a hold of this freak in the sheets?
Just reach out to me. It's a course that I did on using Google Sheets and leveraging that. But one of the things that I found really effective with that is if you can tabulate that or do it in a database style approach, you can scale things very, very quickly.
Mm-hmm. Love it. And that goes back to like when you mentioned networking and conferences, because I think I don't remember going to the course that you had, but you actually, we were talking at SEO Spring Training, and it gave me access to it. So it's like if you network with other people, you can get access to cool tools like this.
Yeah, it's really cool. And it's the thing is with a lot of that networking, it's I know that. Speaking of spring training, you and I talked about a bunch of other stuff as well, videos and things like that. I'm like, well, I could definitely hook that into, it's different ways that I can integrate or, take other concepts and we can build upon things just as a community. So
yeah, I saw you going to like networking and working like projects with other people there, man. You can new ideas pop up. So love that. Again, going back to networking, be sure your network is your net worth. All right, let's go into another part of your agency automation is like triggers versus browser automation. Can you explain like the core differences between a trigger-based automation and browser?
Yeah, exactly. So your triggered-based automations are typically like your Zapier, your Make.com. High level has stuff in there as well that, if this happens, then this happens, right? The difference with that is there's some other tools. One of them that I use currently is called Task Magic. It was on AppSumo recently. And then Zero Work.
Zero Work. Yeah.
Rest in peace, James Slattery. That's the first person who I learned about that particular tool from. But Zero Work and Task Magic or Browser Automation Studio, that's really what it's doing is it actually automates different things on your browser. So it's actually looking at a web page and clicking on various things, taking particular actions, and you can set up different kinds of automation through that. I'm currently building a couple of other standalone ones with some other software. So kind of compiling it that way I can, send that out as like a exe file. Someone could download it to their desktop and then just run it natively as well.
Excellent.
All right. So I want to go back to Zero Work because I actually, speaking of, rest in peace, James. I actually bought it, because of James, but I've actually never used it. I was waiting for the time to actually. I bought it because I think it was a lifetime license, right? So I made sure I got it. Yeah, so I bought it and then I sat on it and I was, was going to look at some tutorials and stuff like that. So like, I'm curious, like, how does do you know if it's still available for out there? Zero Work, it's still available.
It is, but not on a lifetime. To my awareness.
So I'm curious.
But you can still get it. And I would recommend like that one or Task Magic. Both are really good.
So for Zero Work, can you give me some examples of what it can do just so I can comprehend like, okay, let me see. If I want to have this do this, I can use Zero Work. And that's a little selfish.
Yeah. So account creation. Let's say you were setting up stuff for a particular client. You can set it up so that it will actually go in, do account creation. You can get it to auto reply to comments. Like let's say someone subscribes to the SEO video show. Okay. You can get it to go in. Again, you can do a combination as well of both trigger-based and browser-based automations so that it could grab the content. Someone subscribes to the SEO video show, grabs the content, respins it through ChatGPT, Anthropic, whatever, and then queues it up. Because the big problem I see also with a lot of the trigger-based automations is someone does something and immediately it fires it off. Right.
Okay. Yeah.
One of the things that you can do with the browser automation is you can put it on a more realistic time delay. So you can still do the trigger. It puts it into a queue.
Mhm.
And then at specific times, you can queue that up so that it actually logs into your browser, takes a particular action, does what you want it to do. And it feels a little bit more organic as opposed to the generic, thank you for signing up for our newsletter, or thank you for signing up and becoming a subscriber, blah, blah, blah. Very, very robotic.
Got it. Love that. So, what are some automations you have with browser automations that you have so far with Zero Work? I'm just wondering why.
So logging in, keeping accounts active, that's a big one, right?
Okay.
Making sure that you're logging in. One of the things you'll often see with things like email accounts and things like that is that if you don't log into them periodically, it'll they get shut down, right?
Yeah.
Especially with Google or things like that. You can get it to where it automatically will log in, take a couple actions, and it's just kind of like that refresh button for it. That's one way to do it.
Okay.
You can get it to go into your social profiles, interact with people, things like that in a much more organic way. What are some of the other things that we use? One of the other things that I'll use Zero Work for as well is going to different pages. There's some other automations that we use, but monitoring price changes and price fluctuations. Let's say I'm in an e-com setting and I want to see what all of my competitors are doing. Are they offering a spring sale for Easter coming up here, right? I can monitor a lot of that through browser automation or through RPA, or through robotic trigger-based automation. And now I either know what the competition is doing, or I can kind of position myself to be in that same kind of mix, pricing comparisons, things like that. So I know exactly what other users are looking at, what they're experiencing, and we can do that. You can also, getting into a little bit more, we'll say possibly controversial, you can also influence LLMs using different kinds of browser automation.
Okay, love that. All right.
We're dropping nuggets today, man.
I gotta make sure I get that knowledge while I'm in there. So, I'm curious, what is the lift on Zero Work? Some people are not as technical. Do you have to be pretty technical? Is it pretty like WYSIWYG-ish?
There is a user curve to it. Yeah, there's a user curve to it that you have to spend a little bit of time getting used to, but it is more of kind of like make.com, where it is kind of like drag and drop. You're connecting different nodes. So if you're familiar with another tool called N8N, very similar to that as well, where it's kind of graphical, but you're going to say, here's the program that I'm trying to get to. Here's the second program that I'm trying to get to. You drag the nodes together, and it kind of connects them in kind of a very, in my opinion, it's a lot better interface than just saying step, 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 step. Yeah. I like to kind of see that workflow and the plan on like when this happens, then this is the next thing that it flows into.
Got it. Love that. So when do you figure out when to use triggers over like browser automation and vice versa? Like how would you figure which ones to use?
Yeah. So typically browser automation would be if I need to specifically be in an account doing something. So if I'm in Instagram or if I'm in Facebook and I actually need to be within that account, managing something or doing something within that specific profile. That's where I'm going to use the browser automation or automate things like that. If I'm if I'm just like, then that's what I'm going to use the trigger based kind of thing for. No different than scheduling out content, right?
Okay. So wait. So when you do triggers, can you give me some examples? Because we talked about a lot of Zero Work examples. Can you give me some examples of some triggers that you?
So for triggers, one of the things that I like doing with that one would be listening to RSS feeds. So coming up with the blog content or blog ideation for any business, right? We're going to go into an RSS feed. I'm going to listen to what kind of news may be going on, and then I can pull that in via trigger because it's listening for any time that something gets added to a particular feed or to a particular newsletter or things like that. So it's going to listen to that, and then based on that, it's going to trigger a subsequent series of events, such as run it through ChatGPT, give me the summary, run it through Perplexity, give me the TLDR on what this actually does. And then revise it, simplify it, put in my tone of voice, write the content, and potentially even post that. So that's that kind of linear sequence of events that we would need to do for a trigger.
Got it. So is that more like using make and
yeah, make or
like,
N8N, something like that. Yep.
Okay. Got it. Love it.
You could potentially use it, use zero work for something like that, but it depends on your specific use case for it.
Got it. All right. Okay. So I want to go into more of mapping the client journey. This is something you kind of mentioned here.
Yeah.
Let's talk about how you map the client journey here. Like, how do you approach mapping the client journey for your agency, and why is it important before automating?
Yeah. So for me, the reason that I like to map stuff out, and I'm old school, like as much as I love playing on computers and stuff like that, like my favorite thing is I'm going to grab a bunch of sticky notes, or I'm going to grab, if I'm going to do it digitally, it'll be a Miro board or something like that. But what I want to do is I actually want to map through, like, client comes in, what kind of action do they need to take, right? They're interested in your service. Well, why are they there in the first place? And really understanding, why are they there? What's the next action that they're going to take? And if they don't take that action, then what happens? I mean, this is basic funnel mapping, right? Okay. But I think that this is a really important step that a lot of people, when they first get started with automation, they don't consider. They're like, sweet, we can automate all this, but they're not thinking through all of the nuances of, if someone doesn't take an action, or if this doesn't happen, then what subsequent steps do we need to take? Do we need to do a abandoned cart sequence? Do we need to have additional follow-ups based on whatever action they did or did not take? And so for me, that's where like sticky notes, and actually like literally going to a blank wall, throwing up a bunch of sticky notes, and if this happens, then this happens. If they take action here, then this happens. If they don't take action, this happens.
Got it. Okay. Can you give us like more of like a real like life example within your agency when you kind of mapped a client journey?
Yeah. So if we'll take onboarding, for example.
Okay.
So typically when someone's going to onboard, you're going to need to have an intake form.
Okay.
Right.
All right.
Usually what we'll do is we'll put some kind of time trigger on that. Did they open? No, well, we can even map it out even more granularly than that. Did they open up the link to open up your intake form? Yes or no? Okay. Based on that, the automation can then put them down a particular path of reminder if they didn't open up the link.
Okay.
Or if they did open up the link, it can move them on to the next sequence of events, which would be, did they return the intake form?
Okay.
From there, yes or no, we can determine if they opened it up, they did not return the form, send them a follow-up email. If they did return the form, that right here is when normally we have to get a little bit of human intervention.
Okay.
Checking logins, things like that, right? Based on that, we can either go yes or no. Did the logins work? Did they not work? So if they worked, awesome. Then we can automate, an email back to the client saying, hey, awesome, you're moving on to the next step. We're good to go. Here's the next steps in our process. If it did not work, then we need to automate an email back to him saying, hey, we didn't, or firing off an email to him saying those logins did not work.
Okay.
We need you to go in and check this one, and this one. Right. Okay. And this is a process that we're all probably really familiar with if you're dealing with clients, or even if you're trying to get login information from someone else. Right.
Yeah.
But mapping that, step by step is it's really essential, because then you're not missing anything. We're eliminating a lot of that human error that either yes or no, this happened, this did not. And then there's the follow-up.
Okay, so what software are you using for this here? Like this actual checking, this automation, this part? Yes.
Yeah. So one of the things that I'll use is I'll use something like Make or N8N for stuff like that. Okay. I have used High Level in the past for kind of that back and forth. Maybe it's someone scheduling on my calendar. We need to have an automation to make sure that they show up. That's all built into those kinds of systems, and it's becoming a more common practice with a lot of software that is really intended for sales and or marketing.
Got it. Love it. Love it. All right. All right. Okay. Let's go into another topic that you mentioned. Let me think. It was small automations over long chains. So let's talk about that. Like let's
Okay.
what do you like? Let's high level at first, and then we can get into deeper.
The TLDR of it is long chains have they're more prone to breaking, and they're if not done properly in where you can identify where those breaks are happening, it'll just break down and you don't know what happened. The end result's not going to happen for you. Smaller, more individualized chains or smaller and more individualized automation gives you the ability to kind of make sure that things are being done at each stage. And the way that we tend to approach automation at my agency is we'll do a lot of these smaller automations that are chained together. So that when, let's say it's only a 3 or 4 step automation of using the example of an intake, right? Was the email sent out? Yes or no? Did the client receive it? Yes or no? And we know that they opened it. That could be a very small chain in and of itself. If they did open it, if they received it, then we can move them into a subsequent chain on here's what they need to do on that. If they didn't open it, then we go back to that process map and we say, this is the chain that needs to happen after that. Send them a reminder email 24 hours after receipt. If we still don't hear back from them, remind them in 2-3 days. If we still don't hear back from them, remind them in, another 2 or 3 days. But we're able to kind of chunk that out into a multi-chain and determine what's actually going on. Now, we can apply that same concept to other things, whether it's content generation, image generation, AI, video, right? If we chunk that out into smaller sections on, I want to get the image description, throw that into into Airtable, Google Sheets, whatever. Then what I want you to do is make that image, right? That could be a small chain in and of itself, or do create that particular image.
Got it.
Based on that image, now that we have it, then you can set off another automation of take a look at this image, feed it into Chat GPT, then do this, this, and this with it, right? Create a description of it, create a blog post around it, publish it up to, schedule it to Facebook.
Got it. Okay. So when you're using these automations, are you, I want to just make things clear, you're using like make or NaN again?
Correct. Yeah, for those trigger type automations, correct.
Got it. Okay, we had a comment here from Jeremy. These methods are no doubt lifesavers with multiple clients and clients in the pipeline. All right, and guys, if you have any questions, go ahead and start asking in the live chat, because we have I'm gonna have a lot to cover, and I want to make sure we get to your questions here. So Eric says 100%. That way, if one thing changes, the whole thing doesn't break down. Way easier to fix that way.
100%. And that's why I like the small chains, is because you can identify that. If, let's say, for example, because with something, let's use zero work, right? We've talked a lot about the triggers. Let's go back to kind of the browser stuff. Notoriously, websites are known for updating stuff, whether it's Google, whether it's Bing, whether it's someone else's website. And oftentimes with N8N, you need to look at the XPath or some kind of CSS selector for that in order to properly target, like, that's the thing I want it to click on, or this is what I want it to do on the page. If that changes, and let's say instead of calling it the SEO video show button, or, in the code, if it's instead of it saying like video button, they change it to say video BTN. Right. So in the code class, they change the name of that. If that happens, it'll break the automation because it's looking for a particular selector. If you have these smaller chains, it becomes much more apparent that something on page happened. Therefore, we know it's not going to click on this. We don't have to worry about it like misfiring multiple times. We just go into that smaller chain and say, we update that particular selector, we update the particular trigger, whatever it might be. And the automation, we're able to troubleshoot that much more effectively and much more efficiently.
Love it. So I'm going back to when you're doing smaller automations and you're daisy chaining it, and then something breaks, how would you know it broke, or where would you know it broke? Do you get an alert somewhere, or does it let you know it says an error? Something in that certain part.
So depending on this particular system, Make is really good about this because it'll actually have a little red dot on the node that you're trying to automate, and it'll say, hey, this is the error, and it'll give you the error, message. Depending on what the specific tool that you're using, they may or may not have that. A lot of the syndication and stuff that I used to do, I would use things like IFTTT or Zapier. The problem is that you would get into the automation where it's syndicating out to sites or it's processing some of this automation, and it's like, it broke. And you're like, I'm aware that it broke. Where?
Yeah, exactly.
And it's like, it broke, right?
All right. Okay. Yeah. So, I mean, so you talk about Make and N8N. I mean, what should you use most of? Like, is one
depends
of the
on your use case.
Oh,
as with anything, it
okay.
depends.
Okay.
So if you're more tech savvy and you're able to set up a server, you're familiar with kind of the graphic, how to drag and drop stuff around. N8N's fantastic. It's pennies on the dollar. It's super, super cheap.
Okay. Okay.
Make, on the other hand, it's still relatively inexpensive.
Okay.
But you're not having to set it up. When I use N8N, I have it on a self-hosted server.
Okay.
So there's a bit more technical understanding that you're going to have to set up a server, or you're going to have to set up a cloud instance. There's tons of YouTube tutorials on this, but there's a little bit more legwork. Whereas with Make, you can just log in, start creating a scenario, and you're good to go. One of the other things that I like with Make is that you can create blueprints or, kind of diagrams that then I could download and upload on your computer, or it's kind of a snapshot, if you will.
Okay.
So that's one thing that if you're trying to sell any of your automations, or if you're trying to, share any of those automations, you can actually monetize your automation through something like that, where it's, here's the JSON file, or here's the automation that I created in Make. I can send it to you, and potentially, you could make a business entirely on that.
Oh, love that. Heck yeah. You're giving me some ideas here. So, and that's on make.com. You can do something. That's on make.com.
Yeah.
Okay. Love
Correct.
That. All right. Let's get into like the next portion of the topic here is like architect your automations. What does architecting your automations mean, and how do you approach designing automations for maximum efficiency?
So it's very similar to the client journey and mapping that out. I'm a big fan of mapping it out. And again, either you can use things like Miro, you could use diagrams.net. Those are the online versions. If you have the ability to whiteboard it or to use sticky notes, I'm a big fan of that as well.
Okay.
But you want to consider what happens at each step. And if you take the time up front to do that, it's going to save you a lot of headache on the back end, because you actually you can kind of troubleshoot as you're mapping this out. You can troubleshoot the different things that you might encounter with, well, where does this go after this particular step? What needs to happen after this particular step? So it goes back to, proper planning prevents poor performance.
Got it.
It's that similar kind of concept.
Love it. So like you wouldn't recommend just going into Make and just doing it out there, like just
exactly. That's a quick way to get yourself pretty frustrated with Make. You want to understand, like, well, where are we starting? So we've got an RSS feed. We want it to, the end goal is we're trying to get this to publish to Facebook with unique content on a auto feed kind of a thing. That's kind of the beginning and end, what we want to do. Right.
Okay.
So what's the next thing that we need to do? So it needs to listen to the RSS feed. It potentially needs to convert that into a usable format such as JSON or raw text, right? That's kind of the next step.
Okay.
So now we have something in usable format that any kind of LLM or whatever can read.
Okay.
Right. Then what we may need to do is set up a system to get that information into Perplexity, ChatGPT, Claude, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to take that, we're going to feed that into Claude or Perplexity, and that's going to, do its automation. It's going to summarize it, rephrase it, do whatever we need to. Right. Now, what do we need to do with that? We need to take that, and if we're going to queue it up as opposed to just automatically send it out, those are two different scenarios, right? Do we just want to auto publish it?
Oh, okay.
Or do we want to put it into a queue where if I'm getting 20 articles in a day, do I really want to publish 20, as they're coming in,
Yeah.
publish 20 things today.
Yeah.
I may want to drip feed that. So that's another consideration that you would need to have with that kind of architecting, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is there a time delay? Is there, number of items in your feed that we need to have consideration for?
Mm-hmm.
Thinking through that's going to really determine what the next step in the process looks like. So kind of mapping that out case to case to point to point to point,
Mm-hmm.
that's really going to determine how we want to go into Make or go into N8N or any of these other types of tools and kind of break that out and do an architecture.
Got it, guys. So
Just jumping in there is going to be a nightmare for you.
Okay. So you say you use sticky notes. You're actually using actual sticky notes, and you're kind of right. Okay.
Yeah, 100%. Like I'm a huge fan of sticky notes. I have a whole stack of them over here.
Okay, love that. No, love that. I mean, I love that especially when you're creating anything, sticky notes always work because they separate it, the mental separation.
Yeah, and then you can just pick it up and you're like, actually, we need to move this down here. We move this over here. Yeah, I'm a big fan of that.
Love it. Okay, let's get into another one. Again, guys, if you have any questions, go ahead and ask them. You can ask about things that we talked about previously or things that we're talking about now, but go ahead and put them in the live chat now. I'll address them in the order that they are received. Automate lead scoring and segmentations is another thing that you mentioned that you do.
Yes.
Why is this important? Why is it look important to your agency?
Especially for agencies, one of the things you're going to want to do is tagging or lead scoring is really, really important. The reason for this is because not every customer has the same affinity for your business. They may have different needs. They may have different places where they're at in the journey, right? Someone may not be ready to buy now. They may be ready in 6 months. They may be ready in 3 months. They may never be ready. Who knows? But being able to lead score, and there's a few things I know. There's a mechanism in high level that does this. You can do this manually. There's a lot of different ways to do it, but based on the specific actions that someone takes on either a social post, email, anything like that, we want to be able to score them and say, out of these particular sets of emails or these particular sets of social posts or pieces of content, they actually took action or completed the CTA that we were asking them to do. There's a really good book, I believe it's by Perry Marshall, called 80/20 Sales and Marketing.
Okay.
And he talks a lot about this, and he actually refers it to racking the shotgun, right? Okay. And so it's an analogy. It's a whole part of the book that he talks about, but the TLDR on it is that when you're putting a piece of content, say like an email out, did they open it? That's the first thing that we need to look at. That tells me whether or not your subject line is good.
Okay.
Then did they actually take the action you asked them to do in the email? Did they click through? Did they, go to the landing page you'd requested? Anything like that, right? Mm-hmm. So looking at that, there's kind of two different scores that we can look at. Number one, did they even open the email? That's probably going to be a little lower of a score, in my opinion, because it's not really the action I want them to take. Maybe it's worth, 1 point. And when they actually take action, that might be worth 3 to 5 points.
Okay.
Right. On the conversion. So we can actually take this and we can score them based on the specific action that they need to take. Mm-hmm. And then also, was that a higher value action? I do this a lot with social as well, where if someone just say, for example, on Facebook, some platforms work better than others, but Facebook, you can react to it, right? There's the like button, the heart emoji, the care emoji, anger, all of that, the wow or the tear. If someone does something other than the like button, I actually weight that a little heavier because it shows me that you didn't just like scroll like. Right? They actually took time to do something. It's not much heavier. It might be the difference of 1 point versus 2 points. If they actually commented on my social post and or shared it, I'm going to weight that heavier because now you actually had to take another action as opposed to just the, doom scrolling where it's just like scroll, like double tap, things like that.
Yep.
So those actions would be weighted even more heavily. That, if someone's leaving me a comment, if they're resharing it, if I can see any of that and track that kind of stuff, those actions would be more heavily weighted, and that goes into their overall aggregate score.
Got it. Got it. Okay, so like, how are you actually tracking that then, and how are you automating that that tracking when they go to?
So you can do it in a couple ways. Like if you wanted to go quick and dirty without the automation side of it, and this is where we go back into the rule of three, right?
Okay. Okay.
If I'm looking at it, what I'm going to look at from say social is I'm going to look at the last 10 posts that we've got. I have a spreadsheet that's pulled open.
Okay.
And what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at the last 10 posts. I go through and I look at the comments, shares, any of that kind of thing. And I just tally up the numbers really at a visual glance.
Okay.
That's what I'm doing.
Oh, okay. And then
now from an automation side, I mean, you can kind of see where this is going.
Yeah. Yeah.
I've done that a lot. My VAs have done that a lot.
Okay.
So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to use browser automation, or I'm going to use some kind of trigger-based automation. Typically in this situation, it would be more of the browser because I actually need to interact with the profile itself. But then I'm going to take that and then I'm going to take those numbers, put those back into a scoring sheet, and it's automated, right? It eliminates that need for my employees to do that.
Love it. Love it. Okay. So the last part of our segment here on automations is something is a huge time suck for me. And especially when I do this for clients is analytics and reporting. I mean, this is something that will take so much time. I think anyone especially towards the end of the month, like now, and when you have to bring in the results next week, it's like I'm stuck in reporting right now, and I'm spending like hours just analyzing data. So I mean, when it comes to automation, what specific analytics and reporting tasks do you like recommend automating? That you actually do too?
I absolutely hate reporting. It's like the biggest bane of my existence and thorn in my side. Those are the things that my VAs do. Okay. But no, for automating a lot of that, typically what I like to do is, depending on the specific tools that you're using, whether it's a dashboard, I mean, quick and dirty of it, Looker Studio is fantastic. There's a lot of connectors that you can do and hook into it. You can even set it up so that like you can do a data dump or a particular dump, like I was talking about with the social scoring. You can set that up to pull from a Google Sheet, for example.
Okay.
That's probably one of the like quick and dirty ways to do it, is just use Looker Studio. And then normally what I do on something like that is it's a very simple thing. We have Looker Studio, download it, send it off to the client, right? Thanks, JP. You're absolutely right. 300 page report on negative SEO.
Good Lord.
I live for that shit, dude. Like absolutely live for it. But yeah, like you can take a lot of that. And if you have a dashboard, and even with AI, you can build custom dashboards. It's really, really simple to do that if you know what you're kind of looking at. Big thing I would say on that is kind of diagram out, and again, think through what you need on the page. And you could even feed that into something like Claude, get a really simple wireframe diagram, and it'll build the HTML page or the page for you. And then you just start saying, okay, well, I need this section to have these components. Here's where you need to pull that from, things like that. And it's an amazing time we live in.
Love it. And so when it comes to tools and reporting, like what are you using? You said just Looker Studio is pretty much what you're using, and obviously
Looker Studio.
And I try to limit data from
much
Google
reporting.
Okay. So you're just pretty much using that and just having it automatically pull from your sources like Search Console, analytics, and ads or whatever.
Exactly. I try and limit it. The other thing that I think a lot of agencies do is I think that as agencies and as SEOs, we tend to over-report to clients.
Okay.
I know clients love to see all the details and the nitty-gritty on how they move up and how they do this and that. But at the end of the day, if it's not making money for them, that's if you put $1 in and you get $1 out, you're at a break even. If you put $1 in, you get $10 out. Obviously you're net positive at that point. And I think that a lot of people tend to start getting super granular before it's at the point of, is this actually profitable for the company? And they get really caught up into the nitty gritty on details. So that's kind of our approach to it. Like we really do try and limit that. And also, in my experience, I know this isn't always the case with people, but in my experience, if you're providing a bunch of data for people, as opposed to kind of like that streamlined reporting, it ends up causing analysis paralysis.
Okay.
Where they may not know what to do with it, and eventually it just ends up going in the trash. because they don't know how to decipher or
Yeah,
understand that data.
Got it. Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. Makes a lot of sense over there. Okay, guys, I'm coming down to my last few questions here. So if you have any questions, go ahead and ask them in the live chats. So, I mean, out of all the automations that we talked about, I mean, which one has had the most impact for your agency? Like, what were some of the, and yeah.
So the big one for me would be content generation, content publication.
Okay.
That has saved us probably 80% of our time. My team's pretty small,
Okay.
but we're able to keep up with much larger agencies just because we're able to, more effectively schedule, produce, and kind of automate a lot of that. We still have the human touch to it, where there is still, human oversight. We're not just pumping out content and letting it be. But what we're finding with a lot of that is it's kind of back to that 80-20 rule, right? Where we can get the AI or we can automate 80% of it. My team touches it for 20% or less. Usually it's like a 90-10. And we're able to manage much higher volume with much less resources. Got it.
Okay, so can you kind of share what, like, from your content production and publication, like what can you kind of just walk us through a quick high level of workflow that is and what tools you're using for that one?
Yeah. So normally what I'm looking at with that is we've got a sheet. So this is where we'll go into like Google Sheets or things like that. Freaking the Sheets. Exactly. So we do the content ideation there. I have some custom GPTs that we use as well, just to kind of dial in tone and things like that.
Okay.
But what we'll do is we'll take a list of content ideas.
Okay.
We'll split those out into a variety of different frameworks. Happy to drop this in the YouTube comments once this gets published out there. But there's a custom GPT that we use, and what that does is it takes all of the content, puts it into a content writing framework like your PAS, AIDA, before after bridge, any of these content frameworks that exist out there. Then what it does is it's going to craft that in a particular tone of voice. You need to enter in 4 different components to it. I need to know the brand name, what your brand does, specific outcome of what you're trying to accomplish, whether it's an email, newsletter, or anything like that. It'll pick the most appropriate framework.
Okay.
And then tell it the overall tone of voice that you want to include in there. Does it need to be snarky? Does it need to be professional? Charismatic, whatever.
Love it. And you said you'll put that link to that custom.
Yeah, I'll put that in the comments of the YouTube video.
Love it. Yes. Okay, we have one comment here. Where can we get Brian's keyword spreadsheet? Millennial Money Mom. Is that
so? Reach out to me. Yeah, reach out to me. I have there's a spreadsheet that I've given out at several of the speaking events that I've done. That's usually where I give it out. I do have a course there on it. You can reach out to me. I can get you all the information on that as well. 2 other places that I'll be sharing it coming up here soon. I'm going to be speaking at AgencyCon in Colorado, Centennial towards the end of April, and then also out at SEO Spring Training in Chandler, Arizona.
Love it. Okay, so and Jeremy asks, are you implementing AI agents into your workflow?
Absolutely.
So what's the difference between an AI agent compared to like what we were just talking about?
So an AI agent basically just goes and does a lot of the stuff for you. They're trained for specific tasks. And so with an AI agent, what it'll do is it may analyze the particular data, do a sequence of tasks, and then return particular values out of that.
What are some popular AI agents or people are using to build AI agents then?
So there are a few of them. Typically with like AI agents, what's the one that we've been using?
You build it with like
totally drawing a blank for it.
Or
No. Well, you could use OpenAI's. They have a way to do AI agents within OpenAI, but it's not through ChatGPT. You would have to go in through something like the platform.openai.com where you would get your API. You can create them. That's one way to do it is through OpenAI's. Lindy's good. Yep.
Lindy. There's a new one that came out. I think it started with like an M or something. I think that's Minim. I don't know. Whatever. But I was getting kind of confused too, because I thought that AI agents were pretty much like building these workflows within like NAN or Make, but it's totally different. Right?
Well, so yeah, the N8N and Make.
Have you heard? Sorry, Andrew.
There you go.
Yeah, that was the one that I heard is like really good now. Or so, I've never even logged into the website, but have you heard of Manus?
Yeah, I've heard of it. I have not had a chance to play with it though.
Okay. All right. So we are at time here, but Millennium Money. So to answer Millennium Money Mom, like how can people get a hold of you? Where? I mean, you mentioned a few speaking gigs, but where do you online and your email address?
So Facebook is one of the best ways to get in touch with me. It's facebook.com/kato.brian. You can reach out to me on Twitter. My handle on that is Kato B Kato. So Kato BKATO. And then that's also my handle on Instagram as well.
Love it. And also, the last question I always ask all my SEO professionals that come on here is that if someone wants to get into the SEO game today, what would your advice be to them?
Learn AI. Don't be shy about that. SEO and digital marketing is going to be commoditized, and understanding how AI works, how you can properly position yourself is going to be very effective for you moving forward. If you don't understand AI, you're going to get left in the dust.
Love it. And Jeremy says, Brian has the best beard in SEO. Just saying. All right. And for this episode to feel complete for you, Brian, any last words for the audience out there?
No, be relentless. Take action.
Got it. Love it. Everyone's give a round of applause. Man, that was action-packed, guys. That was action-packed. Okay, so can you hold on for one quick second while I sign off here? Hold on for one quick second.
Absolutely.
All right, guys, that concludes another episode of the SEO Video Show. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. And don't forget to visit our sponsors. Go to magicpr.com and use code SEO Show for 10% off, or even check out oneof10.com. Go to seo.video/views to get it's a YouTube video research tool where you can find some viral ideas, great for researching different thumbnails and how to make your own thumbnails. So check that out as well. And I will see you guys next week. Peace out.